Hey, and welcome to your first actual video on how to use Autodesk Revit 2023 for our green architecture class. Let's get started with a little tour of what we're going to be finding when we're in Revit. First thing, up on the top, you're going to see a ton of toolbars, a ton of tools, some actual different tabs, a variety of different tool options. For now, let's just focus on our architecture tab. And in this video, we're going to hop over to one other tab. So just one thing at a time here. On the right-hand side of your screen, you should hopefully see your properties menu and your project browser. If for some reason you accidentally click on the X for either of those, or you somehow manage to close out your properties menu or your project browser, I'll have a video linked in to this video on how to add those tool features back into Revit. It's a couple of really specific button clicks that we need to do. You can also ask your teacher because they should be able to help you with that. So to get started, let's do some actual action here in Revit. Grab your mouse. I do want you to practice using Revit with a mouse in class. So grab your mouse and put your cursor right on top of your shed that you opened and just slowly start scrolling. You'll notice that as you scroll, you're zooming. And Revit's really smart in the fact that it will scroll to where your cursor is. So if your cursor is way off to the side, you're going to be scrolling and you're going to be zooming in to that portion. So if you want to zoom in on a corner of a project, you put your cursor there. If you want to zoom in on what's happening with a door, put your cursor on top of a door. Let's add a really simple feature to this shed. It's always nice to have a way to get into a shed, but it's also nice to have some nice fresh light in a shed. So we're going to begin by adding in a window. To add windows in, you're going to use the window tool available in Revit. So you'll click on that window tool, and right away we have to hop into that properties menu that I mentioned earlier. In your properties menu, we have a bunch of preloaded, pre-existing windows available in the project. Later on in other tutorials, I'll show you how to load a variety of windows, but let's just get started with a basic casement window. Casement windows are windows that swing to the outside. There's a crank on the inside and they swing to the outside. I want you for this particular assignment to choose exactly the casement window that is 34 inches by 36 inches. You're going to bring your cursor into the center of your screen. You're going to get an X until you get really close to a wall. I'm going to scroll and I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to try to get this as close to center as possible. And I'm going to click to add that window. And you'll notice that it added a window. I'm going to hit Escape 2 times to leave my window tool. Escape is always a good opportunity or a good guess to get out of something. And if you're wondering, oh my gosh, Ms. Fall, how did you just move your shed around in the middle of your screen? Well, again, I'm using a mouse, and on my mouse that I have, I took my scroll feature and I actually can click on that scroll bar with my mouse or any mouse that we use in class, and I can turn my cursor into a pan option. So it's kind of like I'm grabbing what I have and I'm clicking down and I'm holding it down and I'm moving around. Now that I've added a window, I am going to add 2 dimensions to this tiny little shed. First dimension I'm going to add is going to be the length of the shed. I already have the width of the shed. And then I'm going to get my window perfectly centered using my dimension tool. Now, if you look up at the top, you're not going to see any tools that are called, or tabs that are called dimension. We're going to be actually using our annotate tool or our annotate tab. Under annotate, it seems very daunting. Please know that we're only going to be focusing on 2 of these annotate options. The first one will be linear. So I'm going to grab my linear tool and I'm going to go from the outside corner to the outside corner of this shed, and I clicked 2 times, 1 on each corner, and now it's just kind of hanging out here waiting for a third click to say, hey, how far out do you want this dimension? I don't want it way out far because that's going to goof up stuff later on. I also don't want it touching. I'm going to have it out just a little bit. and that's all ready to go. Now, if you weren't very particular about where the tip of your cursor was when you clicked on that tool in the corners of the walls, it may have defaulted to the middle or the inside of the walls. Please make sure that you are adjusting those dots so each measurement is going from outside corner to outside corner, because that's just what we do in architecture. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to dimension to the middle of this window. It's not going to work with my linear dimension tool, so I'm going to choose my aligned dimension tool. It works very similar in the fact that we need to choose things that are parallel, but this time I'm going to go from the center of this bottom wall, looking for the blue dotted line, to the center of the window, looking for a long blue line, and then I'm going to go to the center of that top wall, and I'm going to click. So I've clicked 3 times so far. Now, again, it's waiting for a final click of saying, hey, where do you want to put this dimension? And again, I don't want it touching or on top of. I don't want it too far away. I just want it nice and close, but not too close. And I'm going to click for a 3rd time. Now, it's not exactly in the middle, so let's fix that. I'm going to first bump these to the outside by clicking 1 and 2. Same thing on this side, I'm going to go to the inside, but I need it on the outside, so I'll click again. Now these are not equal, and I need them to get equal. You can see if I scroll in, there's a little teeny tiny EQ here underneath my cursor. Sometimes I can click on that EQ and look at it's working this time. It's saying, hey, I'm going to make it equal. Just clicked on that EQ with the red slash once. I'm going to click on it again, and now it automatically centered my window into the middle of these 2 walls. So I have exactly 6 foot on each side, which is exactly the middle of that wall. For this assignment, I would like you to be about here when you're scrolled. I'm going to hit escape 2 times to leave my annotate feature. I'm going to hop back over to my architecture tab, and anywhere within now and getting that window centered is where you're going to screenshot this and turn it in for this assignment.